Good afternoon, everybody. On this Monday, November 10th, 2025, got all your stories for your rush hour ride home. How about this Candace Owens story? Beefing with fellow conservative podcaster Alex Clark. Covered this on Friday, and it got featured on Google's homepage to the tune of 250,000 views. Well, we have updates that are even crazier than the previous video. It is a battle royale. This will be our first story of the day. Talk about blending pop culture and politics. This one has it all. Also, on the second half of the episode, we'll discuss the shutdown and the end of the longest shutdown in our government's history, set to end after Democrats cave. Senators bent the knee, getting literally nothing in return after a 40-day shutdown. The only good news is this should fund people's SNAP benefits, so we don't have to rely on rugged individualism in our cul-de-sacs as we were stashing flour and sugar in our pantries in the mailbox just to feed people. Well, luckily and again, I appreciate everyone's kindness, but it shouldn't have to come to that. Not in what is supposed to be the richest country in the world. Speaking of which, we have updates from Scott Bessent and why and how he says we'll receive our $2,000 tariff checks that Trump just promised. Spoiler, it ain't coming, folks. But first, let's dive into this Candace Owens story. This is a big deal, right? So Candace Owens has been covering Charlie Kirk's death. She doesn't believe the narrative. I'm going to share an interview she did on CNN where she gets grilled pretty hard. I'm going to also share what she has to say with Dave Smith, where they are saying the Trump administration is compromised. Look, think what you want about it. I'm kind of like that relative at the Thanksgiving dinner who doesn't mind his other relatives fighting but doesn't have too much to say. I'm like, I'm going to sit this one out because I don't know what's going on. Do I trust the FBI? Not at all. It's run by a couple podcasters. Do I trust that, whatever sort of framing of this murder they want to... No, I will trust and look at the evidence when it's presented in court. In the meantime, I don't blame Candace for asking questions about her friend's murder. So we're going to dive into this right now. And like I said, it's fascinating to see... I don't want to call it, just to see these podcasters going after each other. Sort of like a who was Charlie best friends with more conversation, right? I mean, you got the Prime Minister of Israel saying he was boys with Charlie. Candace is like, no, you weren't. Dropping different text messages. Some people even tried to debunk Candace Owens, saying her text messages were fabricated. Candace is like, don't play that game with me, homie. So we're going to get into all of it right here. But first, here's the clip that just aired on Friday. CNN's Elle Reeve sat down with Candace Owens to discuss Charlie Kirk. Now, why this took so long to air, I have no idea. They want you to go see the 25-minute version at cnn.com/all-access. I'll pass. I'm not going to go use their janky player to hear what they had to say. But, I think people are pretty hunkered down in their opinions. But CNN is challenging Candace's conspiracy theories.
You say you believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by someone close to him. What do you mean?
I think that in the coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of financial reports that are coming out. And I, first and foremost, do not believe that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I want to be very clear on that. Whether he was involved, I think the answer is yes.
And of course, I mean, I think you're allowed to have questions about no exit wound, the size bullet and rifle they said was used or didn't line up with the destruction and all of that. I think those, how he would have gotten away with it in, as far as disassembling the rifle and all of those, nailing the shot as a person who's not a trained assassin. So plenty of questions. I think it's fair to ask.
I think that's obvious.
And your basis for saying he didn't act alone is what?
I don't know, maybe the weird Fed messages that were concocted out of thin air that had no timestamp and were written like they were speaking in 1822, among other things. Their lack of an ability to answer any basic questions about what took place.
But do you have any proof that the messages were made up? Because that would be easily proven.
Yeah, but they didn't put timestamps on them, and Discord came out and said they didn't exist.
This was supposedly text messages, not Discord messages. It's my understanding from the indictment.
I actually did not read that they were text messages.
The indictment calls them text messages.
What would it be like the feds are like on a computer, like typing it out back and forth?
That's exactly what it is.
So Elle Reeve is trying to entertain Candace's conspiracy, but is also smug, which again, this is legacy media. You're smug. What would they be doing? Typing it out with my Dear Diary, Hello Kitty notepads, and are the messages, well, first of all, it's so far-fetched to believe that the feds would fake text messages, because you would think it'd be so easily to prove that they didn't. And yet the text messages were the most bizarre, written like you were in World War I, like, dear lover, like they were bizarre. But, if the kid did kill Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, if he did it, clearly he's a loon, right? He's got mental issues, so maybe he does write in that speech. Either way, you would think that they're going to be able to figure this out.
I've made up the text messages.
But you don't have anyone from like the FBI telling you that, or law
I have
enforcement?
leaks.
Okay.
No.
Has anyone leaked to you?
And Tyler Robinson
But has anyone said to you, even off the record, like, yeah, we faked these?
I have very strong sources everywhere on both sides.
Well, I look forward to seeing the evidence of that.
And look, I'll say this. When you don't, like, Candace you can hide behind the idea that I've got sources. If Candace had evidence that the texts were leaked or that they were faked, she would obviously present that. So she doesn't have that evidence. It just looks weird. And that's most conspiracy theories, things that look weird. Luckily, Tyler Robinson is still alive and he's going to have a trial. So we're going to figure this all out. But again, I don't blame Candace for questioning what a lot of people are questioning. Erica Kirk's rise to power right away as the new CEO of Turning Point USA. Everyone in that community trying to jockey for position in this power vacuum. It's weird, but that was like one of the, Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's one of the biggest, if not the biggest voice in the Republican movement on behalf of all of the young people and the activation of them on college campuses and whatnot. So there is a lot of shadiness going on, but I'm going to play the rest of this. And what Alex Clark says about Candace Owens, I'm very interested to hear what Candace's response will be.
Sure. Because when we keep talking about evidence, it's like, who's going to present that evidence? Like the mainstream media? Like who are you expecting to come out?
That would be a hot story.
No, it wouldn't be.
It would be.
It wouldn't be.
If the FBI, if I had a source telling me, if I had proof that the FBI faked those messages, that would be an enormous story.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we live in a post-Epstein world and we know how stories get shut down.
And look, Elle Reeve has a point. It would be the most amazing story. It would make your career as a journalist. But also, Candace has that sort of trump card here where she says, yeah, well, how come they're hiding this pedophile ring, which they absolutely are? How come, the FBI is busy scrubbing Trump's association with all of the different, they wanted to remove him from, the Epstein files and whatnot. And it's like, so, that's why the trust doesn't exist, because sometimes conspiracies do turn out to be real. So either way, we have a response from Candace. So she was called out, I guess, for doing this interview. And she says, my CNN interview was booked before Charlie died, and it was related to my book launch. We kept the interview, which took place after 20 days after he passed. We told them in writing multiple times, I wanted no questions about Charlie. So Candace is aware that she came off bad in that interview. Absolutely. But also, people that are fans of Candace are going to say the questions were very accusatory. So Candace says, here's another clip from the CNN interview where she asked me what I mean when I say they. This was only a couple of days after Charlie was murdered, and I was not in the mood for stupid. Now, whether it's a couple of days or 20 days, I'm not going to sort of get stuck on the the timeline of that. But Candace, basically says, look, I didn't want to talk about it, and that's that. So she wasn't, but part of the issue with Candace Owens, and hopefully my audience understands that I'm trying to be as objective as possible, because I do think she has every sort of power within her, journalistic control. She's got a YouTube channel. She can do whatever the hell she wants, as long as she's not inciting violence, right? That's the First Amendment. Just don't incite violence and you can do whatever the hell you want. I think she has every right to take the investigation into her own hands. Everyone let the FBI take the Epstein investigation. Everyone said, FBI, you handle the Epstein investigation. And then several years later, they're like, we got nothing. And everyone's like, We're done. We'll hold my beer. I'll take care of it. So I understand Candace wanting to do that. I'm not going to blame her. Here's where Alex Clark responds. Now, there's this war that I covered on Friday, which was basically Alex Clark saying, I didn't take any ads on my podcast because I didn't think that I should have done it, whatever. And Candace is like, what are you talking about? You're just pushing the ad back till the next week. Like, don't pretend to be better than anyone else. Because I think a lot of conservative media is upset that Candace Owens is now like the top dog. This is what happens. Joe Rogan was a top dog. People came from him. For him, I'm not the top dog. If I were, you'd hear it left and right about me and my, laryngitis or whatever you know what I mean? So Alex Clark says this: when Candace first launched her so-called Davidic crusade to defend Charlie and uncover the truth behind his assassination, she accused me of being unfazed by his death and publicly condemned me for giving an interview to the Wall Street Journal a week later, calling my timing and tone icky and insinuating that I and Turning Point USA were somehow exploiting Charlie's death to advance our mission. It should be noted that I was the only TPUSA contributor who declined all media for the first week. Normal people don't respond to death the way they did, she attested. But we responded in the only way Charlie would have wanted, empowering law enforcement allies like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, two men Charlie himself advocated for, to secure positions within this administration, to pursue justice for his killer, and working tirelessly to ensure that Charlie's message and legacy were amplified across the globe. Exactly what that Wall Street Journal did. So she goes on and on. Candace has said she was virtually incapacitated with grief in the days following Charlie's death, that she couldn't bear to speak to the media about it, yet by her own later admission, this was false. While defending her incoherent CNN interview, she excused her erratic answers by saying it was recorded a couple of days after Charlie's death. Then it was 20 days. I was icky and self-seeking for talking to the media a week after his death to honor Charlie's legacy, mind you. When Candace jumps to do a CNN interview about conspiracies, she started not even honoring him a couple of days after his death. She's Charlie's guardian angel. Cool. Makes sense. And again, this is what you get when everyone thinks they've got a closer, it's a dick measuring contest, really. No, I'm better friends with him. No, I am. You can't talk yet. And it's that ownership that people have over Charlie Kirk. Say whatever you want about it. I think Candace probably has a much stronger fan base than Alex Clark does, but she's allowed to call a spade, Unlike David, Candace hasn't slain a giant. She's been sparring with a lightweight, libtarded CNN reporter and somehow still losing. Yikes. So that's when Candace comes in and says it's so easy to debunk. Now, I'm going to share what I think is going to push Candace Owens over the edge, what Alex Clark recently said. And we don't have Candace's response yet, but let's do this. Let's take a quick break for our sponsors. And then when we come back, I'll share what Candace had to say, Alex Clark's response, and then we're going to get into Candace Owens speaking with Dave Smith. All that more coming next. Telehealth has made mental health care more convenient and accessible for millions of people. Finding a suitable therapist and the expensive out-of-pocket costs still keep many from getting the care they need. Rula is on a mission to make high-quality mental health care from a licensed professional easy and affordable for everyone. Rula's got you covered. They take most major insurance plans, and the average copay is only $15 per session. Rula partners with a network of over 15,000 therapists and psychiatrists nationwide, enabling you to find your personalized solution and the right therapist for you. Thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey toward improved mental health and overall well-being. Head on over to Rula.com/rush-hour to get started today. After you sign up, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show. Tell them that we sent you. Go to RULA.com/rush-hour. Take the first step towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares. Most holiday gifts end up in a drawer or the back of your closet or accidentally left at your cousin's house. Not this one. Mint Mobile is offering unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. That's their best deal of the year. It's the only holiday gift you'll actually use every single day. That's why I'm with Mint. You get a 3, 6, or 12-month unlimited plan for $15 a month. You can bring your current phone and number over to Mint, get high-speed data, unlimited text and talk on the nation's largest 5G network. So don't get them socks, get them premium wireless for $15 a month. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/TRH. That's mintmobile.com/TRH. Limited time offer. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $95 for 6, or $180 for a 12-month plan. Required $15 a month. Equivalent taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. So a commenter said to Alex Clark, there are a slew of MAGA gals, including you and Allie, who are so jealous of Candace, of her platform and her friendship with Charlie. It's so obvious. Now here, oh boy, Candace is going to respond to this. Alex Clark said, now this made me actually laugh out loud. I wouldn't accept all the money or attention in the world to piss on Charlie's grave or legacy, and neither would Allie. We're great in our own separate mission fields and very happy, thanks. Make no mistake about it, Alex Clark just said that Candace Owens is pissing on Charlie's grave. All right, so it is going to get uglier before any of this this reminds me of when Candace and Megyn Kelly were fighting back and forth. And again, look, you don't like to see it, but it's fascinating. Here's Candace discussing Donald Trump being infiltrated. Here she is speaking with comedian Dave Smith.
You and Tucker are the biggest two. You're the biggest two conservative people in the news. And then as Charlie noted, as Megyn Kelly's noted, nobody under 30 supports Israel anymore. Mm-hmm. Barely anyone under 40 supports Israel anymore. You're right. If we fracture up this coalition, we'll end up losing to the Democrats. But the only way to overcome that and win is to obviously go with the wind.
We have the Republican Party, we have a Democrat Party, and then we have the Knesset Party. And they've infiltrated both of the parties, actually. And what's happening right now is left and right. People are saying no to that. The reasons might be different, but it's a populist movement one way or the other. Right. And it's hilarious to me that they think, after me watching Charlie Kirk get assassinated, them spitting in our face and telling us that it's raining about everything that happened here. I'm not a crier. I mean, it was a lot. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. It was a lot for me to go through. And I look back and I'm like, wow, the nastiness of them doing this. And then a couple of weeks later being like, and now we demand you tell your audience to go vote for who we want them to vote for.
Yeah.
F you. F you. I am not doing anything. Okay, here's the way it works. And here's how common sense is, okay? You tell me I can do this job. I can build your house. I can do this. I hire you, okay? I get behind it. I say, okay, I hire you. Go do that job. You then don't do it. You look at me and you say, Epstein who? Okay, you're at the top of the FBI and you say, oh, these are the real messages. You're blocking people, as Kash Patel is, from looking into Tulsi's team and Joe Kent. You saw this playing out in the news.
All right, so this is going to sound like there's a lot of names for the casual person listening here, but there is no proof that the Israeli government had anything to do with Charlie Kirk's death. There are just multiple things happening, right? There's the investigation of Charlie Kirk's death, and at the same time, there's the cover-up of the Epstein files, and there's also our funding of the Israel government, and there's a lot of people that, are living in despair in our country saying, why should we be giving them any money? It has nothing about any of our Jewish friends. It has everything to do with the government, and I always have to make that separation because people want to conflate the two. But what's interesting here is Candace is calling out the Trump administration. Now, she doesn't go so far as to call out Trump himself, but she's saying, look, you guys made all of these promises. We put all the people in place to expose this, and you're doing none of it. And, Charlie Kirk wasn't an idiot. You might not agree with his politics, but he, of course, knew what was going on and the fact that there was no transparency, and yet he was still a loyalist and was trying to work within that system. And clearly he was coming to the place where he was changing his opinions on who to support. So here's Candace's latest tease from this morning. I don't know why, but I feel like a lot of these people that are panicking about us investigating Charlie's murder are going to wind up named in the contractor LLCs that Turning Point's money was evaporated into. More on that this week. Again, I have no idea what the hell she's talking about, but we are here to cover it. So The reasons why people have an issue with the Trump administration vary, from the Epstein files to not putting America first to the tariffs. I mean, there's literally so many different issues. He's underwater on all of them, including this: pardons Rudy Giuliani and more allies. So he pardoned a whole list of alternate electors. And a lot of people are like, the fact that this isn't making news today is absolutely insane. And the truth is, we have become used to it, right? We have become used to the fact that, like, he's, basically anybody that got in trouble for what went down during the last election, all of the people that stormed the Capitol, they're all just, I guess, forgiven. And meanwhile, over the weekend, and maybe this is why he just, Trump always controls the news cycle. So he tweets out or truths out he's going to give a $2,000 tariff dividend to everybody. That's just not going to happen. But before we get into that, question was, what will you do when the subsidies, the healthcare subsidies, skyrocket? And Dr. Oz doesn't give an answer. So again, if you're like me, you sign on to the Affordable Care Act and you see that your healthcare premiums went up. And in my case, it went up from $1,500 a month to, I think, $2,400, whatever it was, $2,200 a month for me and my family, my wife and my son. So that's a total of $7,000 a year it went up. For a lot of people, it's a lot worse. And people want to know what the hell is going on. So the reason the government was shut down is because the Democrats wanted to pass a bill to extend the subsidies to keep the healthcare prices down. The Republican says, let's open the government back up and then we'll talk about it. So what's going to happen next?
Do you have a thought on how you want to see this play out once these subsidies do expire this year?
You always ask the right questions, Maria. So I spent a good part of the weekend with the White House working on exactly the answer to that question. We have lots of great ideas, but I don't want to show our cards. As the president often says, why would I telegraph to you what we're going to do?
Well, I would say because we're Americans and fuck you. Excuse me. Telegraph. Everyone, there's 20 million people in our country that rely on this health insurance. And now is the time for them to plan for 2026. So you should show us your cards, you fucking idiot. Losing my voice over it, and I can't go to the doctor. I can't afford to. The Senate ends a record 40-day shutdown with SNAP funding, omits ACA subsidies. So this is, everyone who wanted the government to remain shut down to protect the subsidies, which, by the way, wasn't just Democrats. There's a lot of Republican constituents that are aware of how effed they're about to get, right? And here we have just how spineless these senators were that voted to open up the government. Essentially, look at it this way. It's like if you bought a car at full retail value and the salesperson says, I can get you a lower price, but give me all your money first. And then once the car's home, then we'll renegotiate the price. You'd have no leverage if you did that. How about you tell me the price before I pay for it? So we're opening the government back up with no assurances that we're going to take care of Americans.
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were two goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was there was zero likelihood that it was going to. In terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power, Exhibit A being what he's done with SNAP and SNAP benefits across the country.
Which is not true, because he was illegally holding back people's money. So Crystal Ball, progressive commentator from Breaking Point, says, Jesus effing Christ, resign. Genuinely, just effing resign. Meanwhile, the elections last week were a blue wave for Democrats. People are voting for change right now. And we're going to have to see. I mean, what's going to come down to it is now they're either going to live up to their promise and vote on the Affordable Care Act subsidies being continued. And if they do that and then they vote no, hopefully that helps us vote people out of office. But they could just stiff everybody and find a reason not to vote.
Your leader on the Senate said, I cannot support a continuing resolution that fails to address health care. I am voting no. Did you do this outside leadership? And was there a big push for you not to join the others and break the 60 threshold?
No, we kept leadership informed throughout. And I think it's important to remember who's responsible for why we got into this shutdown. We are here because we are concerned about the healthcare costs rising significantly on millions of Americans. And we didn't have any indication before the shutdown started that our Republican colleagues were willing to address it. Now, Speaker Johnson is going to have to bring the House back in. He's been AWOL since the beginning of September when we were in the middle of the shutdown. Leader Thune has agreed that we will have a bill that we will write that will give us an opportunity to work on those health care costs. And we believe there are a lot of Republicans, including a lot of Trump supporters, who want to see us do something about this because their costs are going up.
Yeah, listen, everybody, this is an American issue. And what they're learning here, because again, the Republicans, the Democrats, the senators, they get health care for life. They're set. What they don't realize is you want to fuck with people's health care to the tune of raising it $500 to $1,000 a month. You are going to see a revolution in the streets. I'm not kidding. It'll be bloody in no time if they don't do something to protect their constituents. This no longer becomes a Democrat versus Republican issue. Now, what'll be interesting, and I'm not calling for violence, I'm just saying, you get in the way of people's livelihood, you get in the way of people's will to live, and then you have Luigi moments that happen. That's a fact. That's what happens. And the fact that it hasn't happened sooner blows my mind. We're a very patient group, us Americans. But when they do bring the government back, does that mean Mike Johnson's going to swear in Grivalda? Does that also mean that will lead to the Epstein files getting a vote? We'll have to see.
Can open the government and we can still fight to address this looming healthcare crisis. We have an opportunity also to put Republicans on the record on the ACA. Are they committed to doing this?
And that's the one thing I'm excited for, is getting them on the record. Vote on this subsidy and then see what they do. But they got to do this soon. And I think my thought is they're going to delay till December. They're going to delay again. And next thing you know, all right, well, we'll have to wait again till next year. And they're going to kick the can down the road. Bad idea. Here is Besant talking about the $2,000 Trump promised us over the weekend. I didn't put anything on layaway. I didn't expect the money to come in. Have a listen.
It could, the $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So, those are substantial deductions that, are being financed in the tax bill.
Besant is worth $600 million. And he's trying to circumvent what Trump said about giving us a $2,000. We knew he wasn't going to give every American $2,000. That would add $3 trillion to the debt. We knew that wasn't going to happen. But to see a 600 millionaire say, well, but maybe we won't tax you on that extra third job that you have. Go, I don't know how many times I can say this. Go fuck yourselves. This is wild. All right, so it goes on and on. I don't even know what else I need to share here. I think we got it all. Yeah. Oh, I was going to share Miss Rachel. We don't have enough time. We'll get to Miss Rachel tomorrow. Boy, that's it. I like to give you all your news. I try to do it in a bite-sized way. I try not to swear, but I'm here for you guys. You have to understand this. I'm going to be okay. I'm here for you guys. There's lines out the door. Food pantries for military people who aren't getting paid. People's SNAP cards not having any money to get baby formula. We got TikTokers calling churches saying, will you help my baby out? Joel Osteen's church says no. Why aren't we taxing all of these churches? What are we doing? It's time for change. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.